stuff that was happening to him, and he made people understand and feel what the animal was feeling by giving them information that they could relate to. And being that the circus was making a lot of money, the police, armed by that guy, don't say his name, they started attacking MOVE people at these protests. And when MOVE had protests against the Philadelphia Zoo, for the same reason they was attacking MOVE people at the Philadelphia Zoo protests. And MOVE said, we got the freedom of speech, we ain't breaking the laws, we got the freedom to assemble, we got the freedom of religion, we ain't doing nothing wrong, you can't just arrest us. But we all understand that the system don't work by law. So they didn't follow laws when they beat MOVE people. They didn't follow laws when they took nightsticks and ran them in MOVE people's mouths and knocked their teeth down their throats. They did not follow laws when they grabbed MOVE women, pregnant MOVE women, and shoved them stomach first in front of police cars. MOVE people protested and got others organized to protest. One day, at a protest, Rhonda Africa, who was 8 months pregnant, was protesting with MOVE members about the illegal and unjust imprisonment of MOVE people. And the police attacked protesters. And they grabbed Rhonda that shortly after she had her baby, he was born with black and blue bruises all over his body.
Oh my.
And stillborn.
Oh.
Incidents like that escalated and they pushed MOVE members. 77 had a platform built around our house and got up on that platform armed and made a statement. No more will you police beat our brothers and sisters of the MOVE organization. They explained that we were not going to tolerate or accept the beating of MOVE people. They were not going to accept it behind closed doors. If you want to come in at MOVE, you're going to do it for the whole world to see it. Because they were trying, the system was trying to act like these incidents didn't happen. So MOVE said, if you come in and killing our men and our women and our children, we will shoot back in defense of our lives. So at that point, the attacks stopped. The police did not attack MOVE people for almost a year. When and all that, my mom is pregnant with me. And on and John Africa had put so much information out about natural law and the need for depending on yourself. You have God-given muscles. We all have God-given muscle. And that instinct and that muscle and that strength has been taken away from us by the system. And John Africa taught us and something push up when she was pregnant with me. So she was strong, right? She still is. Yeah. But especially back then, just for this story I'm telling, right? So mom, she's and they ain't gonna tell nobody. She ain't want, she didn't ask for no doctors, no midwives, no help for the guards, or nothing. She was like, I'm gonna do this by my. John Africa, gave her that information and she started applying it. She worked at it. She had my sister 2 years earlier. So while she was in the prison cell, from September 15th, she gave birth to me. So now, I said that like that, but and it's cool, and I don't really like. Wait, hold up. I got a problem with that right there. Look here, check this out. For that, at all. Everybody talking about how great she was. I did all the work. I had to come out. I knew it was dark. That's why I can't say nothing. But I don't get no credit for that. They just be like, your mother's so strong. That's cool though. She did 40 years in prison. She deserves all the credit she wants. But I just let y'all know that's the problem I got. Just saying. When she had me in prison, right? She did her thing, and they figured out how to, if women know whoever you've had babies before, you know that stuff you got to deal with. Once the baby is out, there's other stuff you got to do, right? I remember because I was telling her like, yeah, mom, that's right. So then, right? Okay, all right, for real. So, mom, she writes a note by mom, but also partially by herself. So she gives a note to dad, and now she's on a mission, right? The mission was to inform the court that she wanted everyone to know that this happened. Mom told her, here you go, you can let them know. So she starts announcing it. She goes to court, and she's letting Debbie's not here today because she had a baby. The judge is like, no, she didn't. And Janet's like, yes, she did. He's a boy, he's strong, he's there. See for yourself. Judge is like, thank you, Miss Africa, that will be all. And Janet's like, whatever. Stenographer, Debbie Africa had a baby. He's a boy, he's strong. I want to let you know, put it on the record. Lynn Washington, you're a reporter. Debbie Africa had a baby. He's healthy. He's strong. Put it on the record. And he's Stephen Collins. She goes around and she starts, Mumia, all the reporters in the courtroom, she's announcing it. Make sure you put it on record. Debbie Africa had a baby. So the judge is like, all right, we heard you. We're going to have somebody check it out. Now, can you please be quiet and sit down? And she couldn't, no judge, because I got to tell you that Debbie Africa had a baby and he's strong. Put it on record. He's hitting this gal. Listen, okay, we heard you. That's enough. If you say something else, I'm holding you in contempt. Janet act like that judge ain't say nothing. On and on and on. Now, if you haven't met Janet before, you might think she's a giant because she's so strong and her name is Janet Africa. You might think she's a giant. 4 foot nothing. That's her height right there. That's about it. But she's strong. So she's announcing it. Janet got eagle talons for hands, man. She's strong. So but the judge, all right, that's it. You said it too much. Pick her up and you can't. So now Janet's back at the cell with mom. And now here come the matrons, and they coming down there to check it out. They want to see it. They look in the cell and be like, it's official. So now they got to process me out of the prison. How do you release somebody out of the prison who don't have a record for being in the prison, right? So they had to do this whole thing and process me out. But before they could process me out, Janet went on her other mission to inform. So as mom is about to walk out of the prison with me to take me out of the prison, Janet turned her to every cell and made sure the inmates saw her with me. Every single cell. Nice. Remember it.
Yes, exactly.
63 cells. Now, that may sound good and warm and fuzzy inside, feeling and all of that, but mom by the end was like, what do you hurry up? Mom was done. She was like, I'm ready to go back and chill. But so some of the people, some of the women in the prison, as mom was walking down, Janet was guiding her down, they were feeling all kind of things. You know, these are women in prison that separated from their babies. So they were feeling happy, they were feeling sad, they were missing their own kids. Some of them were smiling, some of them wanted to touch my feet, but good luck. Mom wouldn't let them. Janet, I asked Janet years later, I said, hey Janet, why did you, because I read the transcripts and I heard the stories and, you know, why did you keep announcing it and doing that like that? She said, I had to, Mike. Because if I didn't, they would have killed you and said you never existed.
That's right.
They've done it before.
That's what they do.
That's what they do.
Yes.
And I said, thank you very much, Janet. I appreciate you so much. So now, so now I gotta, you know, I gotta get processed out of prison. My grandma and my great aunt, they came to get me, and they took me home, and then, you know, I don't know what happened. I don't remember that part. So, but I know at some point they took me to Richmond, Virginia, which is where the Seed of Wisdom, it was our sister chapter of the organization, and it was a place where we went. The kids would just, you know, keep to stay away from the confrontational atmosphere here in Philly or back in Philly. So we were there for a while. We were there for a couple years, and when all of the members of the organization that had been, you know, sought out by police were arrested for the 1977 on the platform thing, they were all arrested, and at that time we were 2, and we came back to Philly. When we get back to Philly, John Africa's on trial. John Africa's on trial because they said that the government said that he was making weapons and he was trying to purchase explosives, and he said he was trying to get enough, check this out. John Africa is trying to get enough explosives to blow up the ice caps in the North Pole so that he could flood the earth. Yeah, John Africa on charges, and they said he was facing 175 years in federal prison. John Africa is a 3rd grade educated man. 3rd grade. That means when he spells words like the, it's spelled like THA. 3rd grade education. He doesn't, you know, but he had an insight. He had a godlike wit where he could see, he could talk, he could conduct himself in a way where, because he was always telling the truth about things, right? So when he went into court, dressed with clothes on, like he was coming to this event. No suit and tie, he wore hair, he had hair, like I said, hair like this wasn't popular in 1981. His hair was like this. He went to court facing a prosecutor every single day he went to court. He told the prosecutor. The prosecutor was a Harvard and Cornell trained prosecutor who had never lost a case before. His name is, what's his name? Don't tell me. His name is, I can't think of it. I'll come back to you. It's like the Rizzo thing. He said, this is the prosecutor, Mark Durant. Mark Durant said, this is the most easily winnable case I've ever had. John Africa went into the courtroom with his co-defendant, Mo Africa. And he told that prosecutor every day, I'm going to win this case. I'm going home. I'm going home. John Africa was so confident in himself that he was going to go home, he would walk into the courtroom in the morning, grab the prosecutor by his neck, pull him close to him and say, you know you ain't going to win this case. And the prosecutor was like, as the trial went on, John Africa, as the proceedings went on, because MOVE people had been arrested from New York, they had to be expedited from Philadelphia to New York to Philadelphia every day for court. John Africa had this, like I said, he had this wit, he had this godlike wit. He was talking to the marshals that was driving him up and down the highway, as they were rolling. He was always just talking to them. If you ever spend any time with him, you know that he was always just putting out information, talking about the system, the importance of natural law, the danger in the water. They don't care about people. He was always talking, right? Putting out information. He did that with the marshals too. It didn't change just because you wore a badge. Appeal to it. So he's talking to the marshals every day. The car, as they're rolling down the highway one day, gets a flat tire. And was annoyed down and all of that. And he told the marshals, he said, look, highway no more. He said, and we out of here. And they looking at each other like, hey, he said, well, you don't know how to fix it. Fucking tire, so we can do this shit. Come on, man. Silas goddamn fuck that shit. I'm not riding up and down this highway no more. Y'all want to make some kind of arrangements in a courthouse or something? I'm not doing this shit no more. It's dangerous and it's unnecessary. I ain't doing it. Now, for regular people, they don't even listen to him. John, there was no holding cell for federal court in 81. So John Africa said they told him that we don't have a holding cell. He said, well, set us up in the courthouse. We'll stay there. And looking at each other like, okay. There's a picture of John Africa. If you go online and type in John Africa, there's a picture of him holding a box. It's got fruit in it, pineapple, it's got some fruit in it. That's a picture of him coming out of the courthouse. Because one of the things he told him is, I'm also not eating this food you're trying to feed me. I want my diet. I need my diet. I'm fighting for my life. I need my diet. That picture is a picture of him coming out of the courthouse to pick up a run from people getting his food, and then he took it back and went into the courthouse. And then when he was on trial, when he told the prosecutor he was going home, so when it came time for them, the kind of information, the wisdom, this is the kind of impact that John Africa made on the people around him from that trial. And the Move 9 had not been sentenced yet. When they got sentenced to that 100-year prison sentence, John Africa upped the campaign. And the fight for the freedom of the people, leadership of a black mayor in Philadelphia named Wilson Good, instead of looking into the case, a case that he said he believed the Move 9 were innocent in, instead of doing an honest investigation, the city of Philadelphia sent their police to our house again. Hundreds of Philadelphia police. Those police came with M16s, M1s, AKs, and a whole lot of bullets. They came with those pressurized water hoses. They came with a 50 caliber anti-tank gun of ammunition at our house. A house filled with men, women, children, and animals. Ammunition did not stop or kill the people in the house. They came to our house. They flew a helicopter over the house. And they hovered. And he dropped a satchel that was full of C4, military grade plastic explosives, a bomb. Boom. The house shook. The street shook. The blast from the bomb lifted the house off its foundation. A house filled with men, women, children, and animals. The bomb ignited a fire. The fire was used as a weapon by the system. And they ordered the firefighters to let the fire burn. When the MOVE people tried to escape the burning house, they were shot by police. They were shot back into the house, into the fire. Some of them forced their way out of the burning house, and they were shot dead. 11 organizations were shot and or burned to death. When the police saw that some people made it, they picked up some of them and they threw their bodies back into the fire. Six adults, 5 children. Of the children, they were the children that I was in the orphanage with. They were the children that I was in Virginia with. The last days that I saw them was on the news that night. I didn't know what happened. I went outside I was in a different neighborhood 4 miles away. I went outside and I walked right down the steps of the house. I turned and looked down the street and I saw a friend of mine. I was 6 years old. I saw a friend, his name Lamont. I said, "Hey Lamont, what's up?" He said, "They dropped the bomb on MOVE." My immediate reaction was, "No, they didn't." He said, "Turn around and look." He pointed to the sky, and you could see black smoke billowing up forever. For 2 days, that fire burned for so long, and it burned so hot. It burned 3 blocks. 251 people were left homeless. 61 homes burned to ash. For 2 days after the fire was extinguished, the sky rained ashes. Ramona Africa was the lone adult survivor. She was arrested immediately after she was one of the ones that escaped. She was arrested immediately, put in prison, put in jail. And when she was sentenced to 7 years. Her charges were riot and arson.
Jesus.
Birdie Africa was a 13-year-old boy. He escaped, and we never saw him again in person. There was this sort of stagnation point where the MOVE 9 were in prison and they were just in prison. In early May, in 1992, I had been sort of not really involved with MOVE by then. But I had gotten into this fight with my grandmother because I was always kind of a rebellious kid. And I was one of those kids that when your grandmother say, be home by dark home, if you're not in the house, it's going to be me and you. My grandmother was like, okay, you always make it, how come I can't go around the corner? You know, she said, your mother and father, if they were here, you're going to be different, but I got to look out for you. She was very, very protective like that. When he was really there, you know, my mom was on the phone. My mom had called. And I said, and she talking to me, she said, Debbie, I can't read. And I'm like, all right, cool. Yeah, this is cool. So now it's on my mind again, right? So when mom called, I said, hey, mom, I hear Ramona's getting out soon. Can you ask her to come again? So mom was like, yeah, I'll ask her. And she was like, I said, yeah, you think she'll come again? She said, yeah, I think so. I'm like, yeah. So I'm like, all right, cool. So Mona gets out of prison on May 13th, 1982. Right? And I'm watching the news. My grandma was watching the news. I'm seeing her on TV. She's scheduled to be on these different talk shows and these different. Remember Geraldo Rivera? Yeah, the guy he got hit in the face. Yeah, that's him. So she was, she was gonna be on his show and all these other people. So I'm like, all right, cool. Yeah, but you think she'll come get him? I was like, yeah. So all right, cool. May 13th, Ramona gets out of prison. May 14th, she's knocking on the door. Boom, boom, boom. And so I ran up the steps. I went in my room, and I started. You ever see the TV shows where the kids be trying to hurry to get ready and just start? That was me, man. I was throwing everything out, put something on. We got 13 steps on Reno. I don't think I hit one step. I jumped. I hit the floor, and I'm like, yeah. So we go out. Mona take me with her, and she taking me around, and we, getting reacquainted again. I hadn't seen her since she'd been locked up, and everything is great. I'm like, Mona's here. So I'm hanging out with her, traveling a little bit with her. She teaching me, how to talk, move on, all this stuff. But now, see, I don't really know my story yet. I'm only 13. So we had a program one day, and she says, this boy, he was born in prison. And I'm like, what? Whoa! You're not supposed to tell people that. And she looked at me, and she kept on with her speech. She was talking. So I'm like, I don't know about this thing, man. So, I ain't say nothing, Ramona, whatever. So we go, a little while later, we had another speaking thing, and she's talking. Ramona was doing like 2 or 3 speaking engagements a day sometimes, and it was just like banana. I'm with her a lot. So we had a program, and she said, this boy was born in jail. And I'm like, yo, fall back on the jail. That's not like a badge of honor. So she comes off the stage after she do her speech, and she says, I notice every time I say you were born in prison, you got a problem with that. And I said, well, yeah, I don't want to tell everybody that. So she says, well, you should. You should feel proud that your mother was strong and she could do that. That was So I was like, all right, cool, I guess. Whatever. Then, program with Pam. Y'all know Pam Africa, right? So she on the joint, and this boy was born in jail. He was born in the belly of a beast, and his mom is strong, and yeah. And I'm like, whoa, man, what's up with that? So then she said, and be proud because this boy, and he was born. And I'm just like, I'm thinking about it. I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah. I guess so. So he got a rap. He gonna rap for y'all. And I was like, okay. And then she was like, yeah, come on, Mike, get a little bit. Because Pam, when she come with the energy, it's all that. So, I'm still learning. And we did a lot of protests, and we had marches, and a lot. And then it got to the point where, right, they saw us a lot down there, right?
Oh, that's not it.
Fighting for Maria, Move 9, Leonard Peltier, a whole lot of prisoners that are home now that we were fighting for then that are home now, right? The new headquarters. And I heard a message from South Africa. She said, I need to see you immediately. I said, okay. I get in there. She said, I get in the room where she was, and she says, turn that on. Merle Africa died. That's not how this is supposed to work. How this is supposed to be. We did all the dying through May 13th. Our people suffered. Babies died in prison too. That's kind of all that happened through me, that feeling. Uncomfortable. And, but we kept with the movement. We had a memorial service for her, and we cried about it, and we talked about it, and we went on trying to get the people out as much as we knew to. almost 2 decades later, I was at work with my kids. My kids were young teenagers at the time, and I was always trying to teach them to work with their hands and be, active, things that keep you active and healthy, right? So we have landscaping business. So we're at work with them, and I'm at work with them, and I'm showing them how to do things, rake leaves, simple things. They're young, right? I get a phone call. It was Sue Africa again. And she said, "Where are you?" I said, "I'm at work." She said, "Yeah." Dropped my stuff, threw it in the truck, grabbed the kids. We rolled home, we rolled to move headquarters. I gave my kids to Sue. Carlos handcuffed. All but one arm of his extremities are handcuffed to the bed. And we're trying to talk to him. Bring him, Phil, what's up? Like, he's out though. He's out. So we talked to the nurses. They expected him to come to at some point. We went back the next day. We stayed with him for as long as they would allow us to stay with him that first day, which was about 2 hours. And then we left. The next day we came back, same thing. He was out. The next day we came back, and he was moving around a little bit. He was talking a little bit. And we set it up so that he could get a call and talk to his boss. And we were telling him, "We got you. We got you." And he was happy. He was trying to smile. And he was, you heard his voice, yeah, raspy voice, right? So he's, giving a fist. About 3 months later, I went to the prison for the first time after he got out of the infirmary and all of that. And I saw him, and I'm talking to him, and we were talking about the situation, and he was talking about his diet and how he's going to eat better, as much as he can in prison because the prison food is bad. So, we were sending him money, make sure he had commissary so he could buy better stuff, and we had it all hooked up, right? And he was getting better. So, fast forward about a year and a half after that, I get a phone call from my dad, greatest man alive. My dad, let me tell you something about my dad. My mom get a lot of credit, and she should. I don't get none, but she definitely should. But my dad, let me tell you something about my dad. My dad loves me so much that if I needed any organ in his body, if I needed a left leg, a right arm, a kidney, and a heart, he'd give it all to me just to make sure that I was safe. Right? And when he called me and said, "Mike," this is what he called me and said to me on the phone. He said, "Mike, I'm sick." And what went through my mind was, my dad ain't gonna die in prison. I have to be able to sleep at night. If my father dies in prison, I will never be able to sleep again. My father wants to get out of prison, and I will not rest until I do all that I can to make sure that happens.
All right.
Right.
Right? So, like in the 80s when John Africa scaled up the campaign of Freedom Move 9 and went to the lengths of a bomb being dropped on him,
Yes.
that's what I was willing to do. So I started calling people. I started reaching out to everybody. I called the Move 9. I was writing to them saying, "Hey guys, listen, this is what we need to do. We need to file these commutation papers. If we're going to get it or not, we don't know, but try everything. We need to file for these pardons. We need to file for this. We need to talk to that lawyer, this lawyer. They don't like each other, but we want to talk to them separately just so we get the job done. I don't care. Investigators, I would do whatever I had to do. Anybody that wanted to talk, a whole lot of people that didn't want to talk, politicians, didn't matter. My mission, get the Move 9 out of prison. I don't care. Everything else is after that. Get the Move 9 out of prison. So, the hardest thing I ever had to do is call Wilson Good. That's what happened. So, we're still battling. Some of the Move 9 members didn't want to go along with the plan. They had been in prison for so long, they didn't know what back and forth. Yeah, I don't know. Do I want to go through this again? Disappointment, hurt, whatever, all of these different things. So I said, well, Mom, look, this is what we're going to do. This is what we got lined up. We got this investigator. This guy said he's going to do this. This person said he's going to do that. You know, we don't know what's going to happen, but let's just cover all ground. Anybody say they want to help, let them help. So we did these things, and then I got this phone call. I said, it's a phone call. I said, Mom called me. She says, listen, I went to Secret Parole Board today, and they asked me some questions about, you know, these things or whatever. And I got kind of a good feeling about it. I'm like, okay, all right, maybe, you know. So, you know, all of these investigators are saying that they want to help, and they were talking about things, and they put things into play, and they talked to Larry Krasner. Y'all know who Larry Krasner is? Mm-hmm. They talked to Larry Krasner, and Larry Krasner said that he, okay, you know, okay. So we like, all right, cool. And then Mom said she got a good feeling. 2 weeks later, I get a phone call that said, this guy, he called, hey, this Michael? Yeah, this is Michael. Who is it? This is Agent Johnson. Okay, what's up? Well, I'm calling because I wanted to know if this was a house that Debbie would be paroled to. Said, what? Said, what? Hell yeah. So he says, well, good. Can I come and do the inspection? I said, well, wait, hold up. Does this mean that she's getting paroled? He says it doesn't. But what it does mean is that the answer is positive. They don't call me unless the answer is positive. So I'm like, okay. 2 weeks later, they come check out the house. So I'm like, all right, this ain't never happened before. 2 weeks later, I get a phone call. Hi, this is Agent Schaefer. Are you Michael? I said, yes, I am. She said, I'm sitting here with your mom, okay? When can you come and pick her up?
Whoa.
I said, say what? I started jumping up and down. Neighbors looking out their windows. They thought I was anyway. So I'm like, yeah. Like in my mind, like, yeah. So Mom is in the background, right? True story. Mom is in the background and she's like, you better not be speeding down the highway. Your mother said no. She said you can come safely tomorrow. I said, it's just like a mom, ain't she? So I said, all right, cool. So we got me and my wife and my daughter and my nephew and Mo Africa, the co-defendant. We get to the prison, I drive up, and I see her, as we walking up, I see her standing there at the desk, which is strange. On the wall, you know, so she's standing out at the desk, it don't look right. I'm like, yo, well, I'll take it though. So she's standing there, and then Robin give her clothes to change into some civilian clothes, and she changed into civilian clothes, and she come outside and we walk down the thing, holding hands. It was great, right? So we get in the car, and we talking and we hugging, and we, you know, we sending out messages, right? We tell them, hey, guess what? Because we didn't tell nobody. We didn't tell nobody, because we didn't want the police to try to sabotage it, so we didn't tell nobody. I didn't tell my sister.
Whoa, wow.
I think I told like 3 or 4 people that was happening. Mom didn't tell nobody either. I told Dad though. Dad called me that morning. He already knew. He called me that morning. He said, Mike, you got her? I said, we got the package, Dad. We got the package. He said, oh man! And he said nothing else for about 5 minutes. I ain't hear nothing. He was just, I said, Dad, you still there? I could hear the phone, but I didn't hear him. I didn't hear him at all. He was just in that moment. So, we on our way home. Mom been in prison 40 years.
Jeez.
She been used to the speed of people. The speed of a car don't register to her really like that. Car was about 300 feet away, and she was like, watch out, we're going to get hit by a car. Like, no, Mom, we cool. It's cool. We get to the she don't understand technology. You know, when she was in prison, cell phones wasn't like this. To the thing that tripped out, we get to the restaurant because we stopped in to get some big signs that said, welcome home, Debbie Africa. So mom on them at the time, they had these restrictions where you can't see the co-defendant.
Right.
So dad, who called me every day around 7 o'clock in the morning, he's a co-defendant.
Yeah.
Even though it's her husband,
Right.
father of, they share 2 kids, he's still restricted, right? So we don't want to mess nothing up. So I'll be on the phone talking to dad, and we be talking, and he'd be like, "Your mom there?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, son." And she would be right next to me, and she would be trying to, just naturally, she would be trying to say things and kind of butt into the conversation, and I'd be like, "Mom, shoot, I can't do that." And she sometimes she would get frustrated. She would just leave the room, like, right? Let me think, right? 4 months. So I got this hope chest that I built that sits outside of my bathroom. It's in the hallway, just before the bathroom and mom's bedroom. And I would sit on that every morning while I was getting ready for work. And every morning, mom would come out, and we would talk while we would sit on that together, and we talked every day. I was late for work every day when she came home, every day, because we would talk for hours, just catching up. One day, she came out of her room while I was sitting down, and I looked at her feet, and they looked unfamiliar to me. And I realized I had never seen them before. And I told my friend Bobby about that, and he said, "Wow, you're learning at 40 years old what babies learn about their mothers." And I said, "Yeah, that's great. That's great. Take it." So me and mom is working, we strategizing, we meeting, we figuring things out, this, that, and the other. So dad's coming up for parole. It's his turn now. And we put the strategy that we put together. We had this thing that we call this 3-legged stool. 3 things need to happen for this strategy to get the Move 9 out of prison to work. Number 1, the prisoners have to do their part. They have to participate in certain classes, they have to participate in having good conduct, no write-ups, all this stuff, which they had. The second part was for the people on the street to do their part. We had to put pressure on the system. So we did a lot of things that I won't say because there's cameras here, nothing illegal, but we put a lot of pressure on the system. This is a nice strategic thing that you can do to put pressure on the system to force things that we hadn't known before, but once we learned it, we used it. And the third thing was the lawyers had to do that was working with us in that way. Since this new lawyer, who wasn't even a lawyer when we met him, Brad Thompson from Chicago, from the People's Law Office, and Brett Brody from the Abolitionist Law Center in Pittsburgh, once we got these together. There was a fourth component, but we had not much control in that, and that was the of things, right? But all of those things aligned. The people did their part. And when they called me and said, "Is this Michael?" "Who's this?" "This is Agent so-and-so from Phoenix Prison. Yeah, we want to come and check out your house for your father." I said,
Yeah.
"Sure, when do you come out?" He said, "We can come out this day." We set it up, they came out. The next thing, couple weeks, I think it was 9 days. Was it 9 days, Dad? He had to wait some stretch of time before, because he got the parole release date. But it wasn't like mom where they just called mom in that morning and said, or that night and said, "You go home tomorrow." With Dad, it was like, "You're going home in 2 weeks." I said, "Wow, Dad, that's 2 weeks." He said, "Mike, this 2 weeks feel longer than the 40 years. But when that 2 weeks was over, they called me and said, "You can come pick up your father." I said, "That prison is about an hour and a half away. I'll be there in 20 minutes. So, on October 23rd, 2018, we got same crew. We had a couple of dishes. Tiffany came with us. Get there, and we thinking it's going to be just like with mom, where they have him waiting at the gate. We're just going to pick him up, take him in the car, and mom going to be like, "You got him," and I'm going to be like, "We got the package." That ain't happen like that. We get to the prison and the guards are having a meeting. So that time that we waited, that hour and a half that we waited for the guards to finish their meeting, it didn't feel like 40 years, but it felt real long. But when we saw him and he was walking and I was like, Dad, here go your clothes. But you know, same clothes. I don't think he saw me say here go the clothes. He just grabbed me and he hugged me. And we stood there hugging for a long time. And I said, Dad, here's your clothes. Let's get out of here. He said, man, I want more hugs, man. I want more hugs, man. And he started hugging the other family members, all the kids. The prison guards were clapping for him. They were clapping for him. So we get him in the car, take some pictures, you know. We sending the messages out. After 40 years, Dad, I had my Instagram and Facebook and all of that already written up. All I had to do was cut and paste it. Boom, done. Share it, right? People were sharing it. It was, my phone was blowing up, news media, people calling me and all of this stuff. So we get home and people are at the house waiting for Dad. We did the same thing. We didn't tell nobody. We just posted it. Boom. We were on our way home, and the message, the answers, the responses that we got to the people that we called on the way home to let them know that Dad was home, that was the most entertaining part of this entire experience. Because when we called his brother and said, hey, Uncle Pee-wee, Dad is in the car, he's home. He didn't know nothing about it because we didn't tell him. His reaction, he just started laughing. When we called his brother Jimmy was in surgery. But when he woke up, that his little brother that had been in prison for 40 years is now on his way home. We called his daughter, my sister. Listen, we called my daughter, and if she could see this, she might not be liking this, that I tell her part of this thing, but I'm gonna tell it anyway. I said, hey, check this out. I gave the phone to Dad. Dad said, hey baby, I'm home. I'm on my way home. And she's like, what? Oh my God. Oh my God. Wait, what? Oh my God. Oh my God. Wait, what? You gotta get my mascara and run. Wait, oh my God. Oh my God. That went on for about 10 minutes. I called my other sister, Whit. I called my sister Whit. Dad was talking to her. And I said, hey, Whit, we're on our way home. Dad is in the car. She was at work, so she couldn't talk, right? She couldn't make any noise or anything, right? So all that came out was, It was amazing. So we get Dad home, and all these people are there to congratulate him, to hug him, and we putting it out. People are scheduling times to come and see him. His family was there. It was powerful. Dad gets home. He's home for about, I don't know, a week, whatever, sometime. And I say, all right, Dad. I asked Mom this question. She gave me an answer. I said, Mom, what do you want? Now that you're home, you can have anything you want. What do you want? And Mom was like, baby, all I want is to be with you and your sister, my family. That's all I want. I'm happy to just be home. So I was like, okay. I save a couple dollars now. Great. See, got me. I said, Dad, okay, so Dad's home now. I said, Dad, you're home. You can have anything you want. I don't have a lot of money, but whatever you say you want, I'll make sure you get it. He said, Mike, I want to marry your mom.
Right?
I said, Paris, Mexico, I want to marry your mom. That's what that really means is something more like this. Motherfucker, I spent 40 years in prison. You trying to keep me away from my wife? I should have did it a long time ago, but I didn't. And now I got a chance. I'm not wasting it. Make it happen. I just want want to, just me and her. Like, family, friends, nothing like that. He was like, about to go back into his alter ego. Mike. I'm like, all right, cool. But I made him wait anyway. And we did this thing on April 6th, 2019. And we had a wedding. There was 300 people there. And all this beautiful, beautiful day. This presentation is about one thing. Never give up.
All right. Amen.
Never give up. Martin Luther King said, if you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. But whatever you do, keep moving forward. Right? Muhammad Ali said, it's not about the knockdown. It's not about how many times you get knocked down. It's about how many times you get up. John Africa said, what a family we are when we are one force, a unit, a powerful force that no system can equal. For we have the power of light as our ally. My mama, our mama, the life force of Move. On Move. So, before I end this, do we have the video? Do we have the video? It wasn't work. That's fine. We didn't need it anyway. Do we have a couple of chairs? Can I take this chair? And how about one more? This one work? Thank you. Before I end this, I want to bring to this seats my mother and my father, Michael and Debbie Atkinson. These two amazing people had this amazing person. I can give myself credit now. I worked hard to try to help get my people out of prison. There's nothing more important to me than my family. Anybody that knows me, and a lot of people that don't know me, know that there is nothing more important to me than my entire family. Not just my mother and my father, but all of the Move 9. We worked hard to get everybody out. And as we worked to get my mom and dad out, Janet and Janine shortly after came home too. Shortly after that, Eddie came home. And shortly after that, Delma went up for parole in September, and Chuck goes up for parole in December. And we hope to get the same result for them.
Right on.
Thank you all for coming. If you have any questions about these two lovely people, you have a chance to ask them.
I want to say something.
Oh, man.
I'm glad you did this because I think like this is long one for me. But anyway, but I just wanted to say, and I've been wanting to say since we got here, actually, to everybody. Many of you, we wrote each other while I was in prison, and the partisan defense was just always loyal to as far as writing and the support that we've gotten from many of you. I don't know everybody's name. When I learned and met people here, then the face became, real to me, or the words became real to me. But we just want to thank everybody who has supported us, who have just marched the streets, who have demonstrated, who have talked to officials, who have helped just Michael and the other Move people and supporters and Pam and Ramona and everybody. to help bring this victory about. And like I said, I may not remember everybody's names, but just thank you all, because listen, y'all laid the groundwork for what they eventually pulled off. Because if it wasn't for that groundwork that all of y'all have done and many others have done, you know, it just wouldn't be possible. So thank you.
So typically we would show video, but that's not working out, but that's cool. Does anybody have any questions that you want to ask? Now what's going to happen is, here's what usually happens. People can't really think of their questions now. But what usually happens is, once everybody stands up and starts walking out the door, oh, hey, how did you know that? Hey. And we spend another half an hour doing that. So if you don't have any questions now, that's cool. And you can always, you know, reach out to us I'm on Facebook and all of that. Mike Africa Jr. on Instagram and all of that. We have t-shirts in the back that says you never give up. That's what this whole thing is inspired by. So if you want to pay a visit to the t-shirt lady, we appreciate that. And thank you to the Solidarity Center for hosting this event. Thank you very much. And that concludes our show.
I have a question.
Uh-oh.
I have a question. Does anyone have a hat to be passed to put a little something in if you just got out? So where is the hat? You got a bucket? You got a bucket? Get the bucket moving. Let's get that bucket out here, because I know.
You want the mic?
Of course.
I mean, you know, just
That's
so the
Ralph
camera
Porter.
can get the breakdown.
I'm hanging at that. Come on. Did you say, give me a hug? Give me a hug. Just putting a face to the name. And the reason why the political prisoners. So I beg very well. So now I know that we put out a few dollars, and what I would like to see is the people make a pledge.
No.
Because you weren't ready for this fantastic talk. I am moved again and again. So make a pledge. Let's do it this way. When you walk out the door, tell somebody with paper and pen how much you were moved. Put a number to it. Make a pledge so that when they walk out the door behind you, they say, we're covered for the next few weeks and maybe even the next few months. Thanksgiving, Christmas, all of these things are coming along. So let's make it happy for those we love and honor. Thank you, my man.
Okay. Nate had a question.
I'd just like to ask really quick, first of all, thank you so much for being here. Just about the situation right now with Chuck and Delbert, where that stands. Is any information?
Delbert, I know he did go up for parole. It's been a couple months now, though.
Yeah.
And so they haven't given him an answer yet, but I know they did take about 4 or 5 months with Eddie too. Chuck just had his, what they call his prison staffing, which you just meet with your counselor and people, you know, that are just in the actual prison. So then he'll have his one-on-one, what they call one-on-one, which is a parole agent that just works in the prison, and then he'll go up for parole. But he should be coming up in December. So that's all we know of. I did talk to Chuck.
Transferred to another prison. It's called SEI Fed. And Chuck is, so right now he's undergoing more chemotherapy. So we're trying to get people to write letters of support to him directly. Uplifting letters. You know, nothing heavy, just, hey Chuck, how you doing? This is so-and-so from so-and-so, and just want to, you know, I saw your family at this event, whatever, stay strong, this, that, and the other.
What's the website? I mean, where
Mailing
is the
address.
website?
Her full address.
Oh,
I'll look it up. Keep talking.
okay, great. Nate's going to look it up. Thank you for that question. Okay. Any other questions? Okay.
I'd like that release.
Okay.
that I would always want to know more about. Would you ever consider writing about it? I
You
don't
better
know.
burn them people. Tell you, I mean, we
There's a
can,
lot of people that need help, so there's like a strategy we can use to help.
right, yeah, there's a,
Underground on the down low.
Yes.
yeah, underground. That's what I'm getting at, underground. Okay, look, yeah.
Wasn't this week?
No, it didn't escape, no. Okay.
Yeah, it's such an honor to have you all here. It really is. And on behalf, I want to come and do any type of program or fundraising. You know, I was telling your parents, this is your home too.
Thank you.
But I wanted to ask, because we know we have some young people here who maybe don't know the connection between Mamiya and the Move family, so maybe you want to give some history. Because you talked about Mamiya being in,
Right.
you know.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Very instrumental.
Yes.
Mumia, when we were, first of all, Mumia used to let us use his space when he was a reporter at his station. They used to give letting us do that because they said all he wanted to do was move stories. And he said, well, Move is the only people that's out there at this point that's throwing significant enough resistance to make it newsworthy. Right? So once we were arrested after the confrontation, Mike recounted, the only reporter, white or black, that came to interview Move people was Mumia. And as you may know, at one of those press conferences, Frank Rizzo, who Mike spoke about, directly threatened Mumia at the press conference. And later, you see what his cops did to Mumia, right? When he came up to Huntington Prison and he was on death row, came up to Huntington Prison and was on death row. I was on that same tier, so we met again. You know, he's coming to prisons to interview us. He's coming to prisons just to visit us.
Yes.
But now, as a prisoner, we're on the same tier, and we used to go in the yard and we, you know, converse back and forth. So, and then when he let me out the hole, they was giving him write-ups for whatever reasons, and he would call me into the prison to represent him, you know. It wasn't, well, that's what it's called, you know, because when you believe in freedom, you can represent yourself, and you know the man can represent himself, you know, but to come over, and we had time to talk, you know, so who Mia is and how he's standing firm, and this system hates nothing more than resistance. What are you but you know the story about Merle and Phil, you know, prison is a toxic environment. You know, they like to, even if they show or say they're showing some compassion, they'll let somebody out 3 days before they die. Right. Marilyn, 21 days before she died. You know, they got this thing figured out. And I'm thinking that they got the same thing in store for all of us.
That's right.
But now Delbert has cancer, Chuck has cancer, as Mike spoke on. And I wouldn't be surprised if one day one of the, you know, some of that stuff come up to me too. You know, they didn't just shoot water in that day.
That's right.
You know, they shot a lot of gas, they shot, you know, all our kids was treated for lead poisoning. So they treated the kids, and who knows what they did to them. You know, they treated Mike and the rest of the kids that was murdered up May 13th horribly. They forced the women at when they was on hunger strike for 50 days just to get into population, just so they wouldn't be treated and targeted, especially targeted. And they went on a hunger strike. When they held them down and forced their blood out of their arms, they also shot them up with something. You know, so that we're coming down with these maladies, it's no surprise to us. And it should be no surprise to anyone else who's ever had any dealings with America. You know, when you resist, this is how we will continue to do, right? Because it's for the benefit of life, of the planet,
Yes.
of all our folks that's still inside, and we're going to continue to speak.
Right on.
So I just wanted to answer that question. Jericho have a right to truck.
Jericho.
JerichoNY.org.
Okay, great. Thank you, Gil. All right. Is that that concludes this program? Maybe not.
Keep that bucket
I just wanted
going.
to say that there was a victory yesterday for Rodney Reed.
It took 3 million signatures. Over 3 million signatures. It took over 120-day stay of execution for Rodney Reed. It took over these policies. Rodney Reed would have been executed the same way Shaka Sankofa was executed.
That's right.
So we got to keep it personal. But we got a victory, and that is proof that the power is in the people, and ain't no power like the power of the people.
Because the power. Say what?
Take it out of here. Come on. Power of the people.
Because the power of the people don't stop.
Don't stop.
Ain't no power like the power of the people. Because the power of the people don't stop.
All right. You got a question?
Yeah.
Debbie, what was your response? I mean, tell me, what happened when they told you that you were going to be free? What did you do? I mean, what was your response, and how was the environment? What was the setting? They told you to come in and sit down with you.
Well,
Good or bad?
that's a long story. I mean, I'll make it short. Well, it was about 2 weeks later after I had seen the parole board, and I got the paper in the mail saying that I was going to be paroled. And this was the 8th time that I had been denied. The 8th time since 2008. And so I got it, and I'm like, I just looked like, and I read it again. But anyway, I ran to Michael, and I said, Michael, guess what? Where you at? And he was working. And I said, I just got my paper, and this is what it says. And he said, oh, shoot. Okay.
I actually was cursing.
But I mean, my reaction was like almost in disbelief too. But it was, I think I can't remember which way which way it went. But Janine and Janet was either denied first. They might have been denied first.
No, they weren't denied yet.
I kept waiting, and then when I found out that they had been denied, it was kind of like a little, it was a shadow, of course, of me, but I was still happy.
Yes.
I mean, I just wouldn't let that go away from me, but yeah, that was, it's a whole story behind that too, because they had me up in the superintendent's office, and I'm in this little office where they was trying to figure out media being wrong. So that's why he was there like 7 o'clock in the morning to pick me up on a Saturday. So, but it was.
We'll talk about that next show.
I don't know.
Every time you appeal to the parole. But
Finally, yeah.
It takes a lot of strength to keep going back, keep going back, keep going
Well,
back. Sure does.
Yeah, we had to dig deep. I ain't gonna lie. We had to dig deep. Hey. Power in the people.
Power in the people.
Long live John Africa.
Long live John.